The 2020 pandemic shook the world, but the Black Death? It nearly ended it, taking away a massive population of Europe as well. This plague didn't just kill, but it reshaped the world. It was 1347. 12 ships docked in Sicily, in Italy. What they carried wasn't just cargo, it was Europe's death sentence. Most of the crew were already dead, and the rest were covered in black boils. The town people stared, but within days, they too began to die. Ports got closed, prayers rose up, but the plague had already escaped. It moved faster than fear, and it was only the beginning. Shadows of History presents the Black Death. It started in the bustling port of Messina, where 12 ships from the Black Sea, ships that were in truth nothing more than floating coffins, arrived in the chill of October 1347. And with them, they carried more than cargo. They carried rats, fleas, and the seeds of devastation itself. Those who stepped ashore didn't just bring goods, they brought a silent killer with them. And somewhere in the crowd, a merchant sneezed. Nearby, a sailor coughed. By nightfall, fever had wrapped itself around them like a vice. Then came the vomiting, the weakness, and the black swellings. They called them bubbus, and the disease would be named the bubonic plague. Within days, the infection was leaping almost like it had wings, from port to port, from Genoa to Venice to Marseille, and on and on and on. The dead were everywhere. In Paris alone, 800 souls would vanish daily. And in London, entire neighborhoods simply disappeared. Even the burial grounds could not contain the tide. Streets became rivers of death, filled with carts, dragging the fallen with them. Some towns watched half their people vanish, not in years, not in months, but in mere weeks. But the horror wasn't content to stop there. No, it came in different forms. The bubonic form, spread by fleas. Sometimes it slipped into the bloodstream, becoming the septicemic plague. That means death would come to you within hours. And worse still, if it found the way into your lungs, it became the pneumonic plague. Airborne, invisible, one single breath, and your fate was sealed. People ran from their own families, doors slammed shut, bodies lay where they fell, rotting in silence. Even religious leaders started blaming sin. The Pope himself ordered great fires to purify the air, but none of it worked. By early 1348, the plague had swept into France, into Spain, into England, and the death toll, it wasn't just rising, it was accelerating. And Europe? Europe had no idea what was coming next. This wasn't just a sickness, it was society breaking apart. Markets closed, roads were empty, cities went quiet, nobles ran away, monks locked their doors, whole villages disappeared. With no cure in sight, fear quickly turned into blame. Some said Jews had poisoned the wells, and they were killed for it. Others swore it was God's punishment. Some even thought the planets had lined up to destroy them. Bands of flagellant walked barefoot from town to town, whipping themselves, begging for mercy. By 1349, the plague had reached Norway, Moscow, and beyond. Europe wasn't just sick anymore, it was drowning. When so many people died, it wasn't just families that fell apart. Society did too. Farms sat empty, crops went bad in the fields. Skilled jobs, they were gone overnight. With so few workers left, pay went way up. For the first time, peasants, the poorest of the people, had real power. And they weren't afraid to push back. Riots and revolts shook the old system of lords and kings. The church was in trouble too. People started wondering, why would God let this happen? What if everything we've been told was wrong? From all the chaos, rebellion started to grow, and the balance of power began to change. By 1351, the plague finally faded. But the world it left behind was completely different. 50 million people were gone. Whole towns vanished. Entire family lines ended. Yet, those who survived learned to adapt. Workers earned more, people had more rights, and medicine started improving. Science began to challenge old superstitions. Art became deeper and more emotional. Trade routes changed, cities rebuilt, and the cracks in the old system grew wider. Some historians even think the Black Death helped spark the Renaissance, an age of huge change in art, science, and culture. Out of one of history's darkest moments came a world that would never be the same again. Today we know the cause: Yersinia pestis, a bacterium carried by fleas and spread by rats. And does it still exist? Yes, it does. But now we have science, antibiotics, systems of response. The Black Death didn't just take lives, it forced us, it forced humanity to evolve. But left us one haunting truth, and that is civilization is never more than a breath away from breaking.